I am Mansi Singh, Senior Correspondent at Express Computer, and I welcome you to today's webinar titled Unlocking the Power of an Enterprise Asset Management Solution. This webinar is brought to you by Express Computer in association with Symphony AI Summit. In today's fast-paced and competitive business landscape, organizations face numerous challenges when it comes to managing their assets effectively. Whether it's a physical infrastructure, machinery, or technology systems, assets have been playing a really critical role in the success of any enterprise. To tackle these challenges head on and optimize asset utilization, many companies are turning to enterprise asset management solutions. An enterprise asset management solution is a comprehensive software system designed to streamline and optimize asset-related operational activities within an organization. It not only brings together various functionalities, including asset tracking, maintenance planning, inventory management, and financial analysis, all in all, one centralized platform. By leveraging the power of an EAM, businesses can gain valuable insights into their assets, improve decision-making, processes, and enhance overall operational efficiency. So by implementing an EM solution, you can significantly lower maintenance cost, minimize downtime, and maximize returns on your capital investments. Joining us today to understand the benefits of an enterprise asset management solution is our speaker, Mr. Jayantaran Sridharan, Senior Solution Consultant, Symphony AI Summit. And before we welcome him, let me quickly take our audience through the house rules. This is an audio and a video webinar and is being broadcasted live and is available as on demand on our website. We will have poll questions in between the webinar. I request the audience to actively participate and share their views in the polls. We will also have a Q&A round at the end of the webinar. However, you can send in your questions anytime during the webinar using the Q&A text box. If you face any technical issues during the webinar, please try to refresh your browser once or else reach out to our team using the same Q&A text box. If any of your questions are left unanswered, we will connect with you over the email to address them. So before I hand over the session to Mr. Sridharan, I will quickly take this opportunity to introduce our audience to Mr. Sridharan. He is a highly experienced senior solution architect at Symphony AI Summit. With over 15 years of rich experience, he brings a wealth of expertise and knowledge to the table. As a senior solution architect, he has showcased a deep understanding of asset management solutions and has successfully implemented strategies for numerous organizations. His keen insights and practical approach have enabled businesses to optimize their operations and achieve exceptional results. So that's all from my side. Now, without taking your time further, I would hand over the dais to Mr. Sridharan. Over to you.
Thanks, Mansi. Thanks a lot for that introduction, as well as getting our audience into today's webinar topics. So thank you very much for that. So let me get started. So today, thank you all for attending this webinar. And as part of the Symphony AI Summits family, we welcome you all and see what we offer from the enterprise asset management solution. So let me take you through the journey of how we can help you all as an organization. So first things is when we look at manufacturing industries today or a manufacturing vertical today, and who better not than Gartner to give us some information as to what or where today the companies are most focused on, especially the manufacturing vertical, right? So obviously, the first of it is improving margins, and that's any manufacturing. That's what they're looking at as of today, right? And how do we go about having that done? By how do we improve our margins? By obviously reducing operational cost and resource optimization, right? this is something which Gartner, when they have done their research across the globe, this is something which they've been a common factor to all of the manufacturing verticals or companies out there today, right? So this is directly from them saying that most of these companies are focused on improving margins by reducing operational costs and the resource optimization rather than short-term cost-cutting measures. Nobody wants that today, right? Now, Gartner does a little more than that, and then if you look at this particular research or survey which was conducted, now if you leave manufacturing and you take all the other verticals, and when you talk to them and see what are the priorities they're looking into today. So if you look on the screen, right, highlighted as the topmost selected priority for other industries today is on the service quality. Of course, if it's service quality, we're talking about a product. So we're talking about improving the product or the service quality of the product. So it goes hand in hand. And then if you look at that, 26% of all the other industries today, all the other verticals, apart from the manufacturing, concentrate on that. And close second is improving customer satisfaction or reference abilities. And I think everybody today on the call knows what I'm talking about here, right? So we're talking about any other than manufacturing, we're looking at making sure customer satisfaction, right from, you take anything, the Metas, the Googles, they all look forward for that and making sure they have that, right? But if you look at manufacturing industries, purely just the manufacturing verticals over here, they talk about a good 30% of improving profitability. That is the margins from the industry. That's the topmost selected priority in all the manufacturing verticals today, right? And then second is reducing operation costs. So the previous slide actually spoke about these 2 points from closely from a manufacturing. So I'm sure this puts into perspective as to how Gartner went about and how the manufacturing industry is looking at it, right? So this is something which I wanted to talk about before we get into what today's webinar is all about, right? Now, if you look at reducing cost and if I go back to that particular page, we're talking about operational cost, reducing operational cost, and also improving profitability, right? Now, so what we have done in the Summit family here, we have some of the use cases here, which you can see how using Summit, our customers today have achieved that particular these answers to that, right? Now, this is one of our leading automation, I'm sorry, this is a leading, automobile. I was going to say automobile, but how do they reach that? It's through seamless automation, through service and asset management with RFIDs here, right? They're using RFIDs and they wanted to make sure, all the tags, everything which gets scanned. There are other things which takes place after that. Now, what happens is you get traceability, you get visibility, so there is no inventory loss. We achieved that from that perspective when we did that. We also reduced the audit time in a day-to-day activities. Whenever there's an audit taking place, we reduce that easily by an hour from that perspective. And also, very importantly, got 100% compliance and control over all the assets which that particular automobile industry was looking at. So see, this has been achieved when they started using our asset management and our service management. So both in combined with the strong integration capabilities and robust functionalities, this is something which we achieve. This is one of the use cases. Second use case I would like to talk about is a manufacturing company called the Milliken, and they're based out of the United States. All right, so they have, I think, close to, my numbers might be wrong, easily they have close to 500 to 700 patents. They're into so many things like dyes and even for their defense, right, from police, from a fire department, all of them, they use products from Milliken here. So Milliken, we approached Milliken And then we wanted to make sure, so they had some pain points, and then we integrated our ITS and IT asset management purely from that perspective. And then we made sure within I think a good 8 to 9 months, we saw users being very happy. So we improved the user experience drastically from where they were. And then we also lowered the TCO, right? And we created a business, they already had a business company, but we made it better from that perspective. And also, very importantly, the asset life cycle. So they had, every 3 years, they went under what they call was a refresh cycle. So they used to take all the existing assets, that is your laptops, your desktops, and then make sure they recycle it and they have the new ones coming in. And they found that particular process very very tedious, and it was a very lengthy process, because not all laptops have the same 3-year validity, right? So each one has their own thing. So to maintain that, to trace that, and they were huge. So they globally placed. So they had offices in the UK, they had offices in China, and they had that. But then with Summit AI's asset management, we collated, we combined, and they're now another happy customers of ours. So another use case from that perspective. Another automobile manufacturer here who's using our product today. This is in India, Maruti. Maruti is another customer who's very happy using our asset management here. And we've done a lot, especially when it comes to increasing the productivity, especially customer satisfaction, again, increased. Like the previous use case, this is another thing. And then they got into some real-time asset monitoring, which they never had before before the Summit asset management was in place. So another useful thing in all of those 3 use cases which was called out for us, was the self-service portal. So it was very easy on the eye, very easily accessible. At any point in time, you get to know what asset is associated to which department, if it's a user or even a location. So everything was available on the fingertips. So that's another use case which we are very proud of, and the customers are very happy. So Maruti is also another referenceable customer for us, and they've been excellent for us. The final use case before we get into who we are is this is Harman. So I'm sure all of you all have heard now, it's a Samsung company. So they are into consumer electronics and the music systems, the speakers, all of that. So they are another customer who's very happy with us using our asset management along with your service management, right? And they're again, the CSAT, if you see the most common thing, the CSAT is shot up, and then auto resolution of all their tickets which came down. Again, traceability of assets were something which they found it as a challenge with using our Summit. And another very important thing over here was we help them from a preventive maintenance aspect of it, right? So that's another feature which we bring into the table from an offering standpoint of view, right? So that is also there here. Now, before I start showcasing what I just spoke about on those use cases through the tool, let me talk about the Symphony AI. Who are we, and all about Symphony AI, and where does Summit come into that, right? So Symphony AI is a SaaS-based organization. Now, if you see in today's market, most of the AI is currently used for, if you take the, WhatsApp, I mean the Meta, you take, anything, it's all B2C customers, right? The consumers over here. So they are the ones who are using AI extensively. But as Symphony AI, what we're trying to do is that our mission is to build a leading AI SaaS-based company, an enterprise AI SaaS-based company for B2B, so business to business. That's where we want to come in. That's why we want to make that change. We want to ease that, as you can see how it is in a B2C. We want to do the same thing, but towards a business. So, we are looking at, productive and generative AI SaaS solution to deliver rapid value through operational efficiency and AI-driven recommendations. So what you're seeing, so the experience, you don't have to be a user, but even when you come to, when you work and our customers, we want them to also experience the same thing what the other organizations are doing right now, but then that becomes a B2C, but we are looking at more for B2B. Right now, having said that, we have various business verticals under Symphony AI. So we are into retail, so all the stores, customer merchandising, supply chain intelligence. So that's again where we are investing, and we have done the AI part. And we talk about CPG, another business vertical of ours. We are looking at customer and merchandising intelligence, retail growth, shelf intelligence. So that's another thing. Financial and crime prevention, another big crucial business vertical for us, who's doing extremely well when it comes to AI. We are looking at any type of fraud detection, regulatory compliance, right? So many compliance, and especially when you look at financial today, it's not something which is pleasant. So we're over there, again, our AI is doing wonderfully well, right? We are also into media. So when we talk about media, we're talking about revenue and content optimizations, customer insights. So that becomes a key, especially from a media perspective, the insights of a customer, and how do we learn that off, and how does AI come into picture, and how we can help our customers who are with us from a media perspective. And the next slide, you're going to actually see who am I talking about, because there's a slide about all our worldwide, industry-wide customers who are getting all the benefits from the Symphony AI family, right? Another business vertical is manufacturing. So we are into, when it comes to health of an asset, process optimization, connected to workers, digital manufacturing, all that and more is where, imparting more of AI knowledge into that, making sure our customers are very happy and getting the right set of data, right? And finally is today Summit. Right. So Summit falls under the business vertical called IT and Enterprise Service Management. So, we're talking about IT, asset and enterprise service management, and workflow automation is where AI comes into the picture. So that's where Summit is going to be talking about, and I'm going to specifically talking about how to unleash power enterprise asset management, powerful enterprise asset management from that perspective. So this is who we are, and this is the business vertical. Like I said, we have 1,300 customers worldwide, industry-wide. We have close to 3,000 employees in 33 countries, right? So we are headquartered in Palo Alto, California. So that's to do with us. So if you look at the next, the 1,300, obviously I can't put all the 1,300 logos, even though I wish, but just giving you a glance, and I'm sure everybody who's just looking at the screen, I'm sure one or more of these logos have caught your eye and you're aware of what they are. So as you can see, we have done great things over here, and they're all happy customers, and we would obviously want to grow into the making the 1,300 to a lot more, right? So I'm not going to go through this list, obviously, but you get the idea of all the verticals which I just spoke about, the business verticals, we are over there, right? The next one over here is all the accolades and the recognitions across industries we have won here, right? So very proud of it. Very, very proud to represent the Symphony AI family here, and very specifically, obviously, I'm part of the Summit family, so very, very proud of all our goals, and I'm sure there's many more to come as we speak, right? Now, again, we're going to micromanage to who Summit actually is, and you're going to listen a little more from me. We are, as you know, we are headquartered in Palo Alto, California. Our development sits out of India, Bangalore, but offices and customers across the globe. So we have offices in UAE, India, and Middle East, and the Northern American region, but customers all across the globe, right? So we are a leading provider for AI-powered IT and enterprise workflows, right? That's something which we are very happy and proud about it. This is concentrated to Summit. So the logos you're going to see on this particular screen are very specific to how the Summit, these are our wonderful customers who are using Summit here. So again, if you see the verticals, we are an enterprise solution, workflow solution. So if we are into any industry today, whether it's telecom, financial services, auto and manufacturing, technology and consulting, or healthcare and consumer. So all of them have been using and all happy customers here. Now, from the accolades very specific to Summit, we are very, very proud to be the CIO's Choice Award very specifically in the India region for the last 6 years in a row. Continuously, we've been bagging that award. So very proud of our team, and also we've been the major players in the IDC market space. Gartner Pure Insight. Gartner conducts this customer choice year on year. So as you can see, from the year 2018 all the way till 2023, we have been achieving this. So this accolade is something which we are very proud of as an organization, because end of the day, customers are happy, so we are happy, right? Also, ISG, when we talk about that, we've been there also as leaders in the enterprise service management in that space too. So from that aspect, again, this is about the most preferred ITSM solution today as per Gartner Peer Insights. Now there are the multiple parameters, but something we would like to focus against our competition is willingness to recommend. That's right on top. Most of our customers, happy customers, and only then they are happy to recommend our product capabilities. You're going to see them, not all of it, but what are we going to see today? You're going to get a good glimpse of what the product capabilities are. Evaluation and contracting, integration and deployment, another thing where as a feature, very, very robust feature, we can integrate, and when we talk about deployment, we're much faster than any of our competitions because of the flexibility what the product offers or brings to you all on the table, right? And service and support. So service and support is something, again, we're very proud of, that all very quick service, and the support is also very fast. So all happy customers from that perspective. Another mention, I would like to say that we had an honorable mention in the year of 2022 by the Magic Quadrant, which Gartner conducts. And I'm sure most of you all today on this call are aware of Gartner and what Magic Quadrant stands for. So we were honorable mention, which means to say, look out for us. We are going to be on the Magic Quadrant very soon, right? Probably a year from now, we would be there, right? So this is something which we're very, very, again, very proud of, that we're part of this quadrant mentions. Now these are snippets talking about last 5 times we've been winning this Voice of the Customer or Customer Choice Award. We've been doing that consistently for the last 5 years, and I'm sure we're not going to give up that even the following year. I'm sure we're going to do that. This is again ISG, where we stand when we talk about the global leaders. So we are there with our competition, but we're right there, and I'm sure we're going to keep going up, right, from that perspective of it. Now, coming to what we actually offer as a product here, right? Now, if you look at it this is not an architecture. It's, I like it. I mean, I want to call this a blue chip for how the customer should look at us. So when we're talking about a platform engine, we are a robust multi-tenant platform engine. We are available on cloud and on premise. So, and when we talk about cloud, out of the box, Microsoft Azure, but we are open for AWS, Google, any cloud you're on today, doesn't matter for us. We can host it on that, and as well as if if you're wanted on premise, it's something also we offer. So both offerings are there. Then earlier I mentioned about integration. We have a huge integration library available, and as well as API designers. So something which is not there, you can use API designers to go about doing that information here, right? Apart from, you remember me talking about flexibility, the product capabilities. Now all that, comes in the remaining, like the workflow and designer, approval designer. It's another engine which you can spin it up real quick. Like you can spin up a catalog within 5 minutes because you have a form builder where you can build up a form right from scratch. And all of this is very simply clicking and dragging and dropping, right? So it is not something where you need to write a complex code. And that's another feature for us. It's we are completely codeless. So it's easy, click, drag and drop, and you can create forms, you can create designers, you can build your SLAs, all of that. Also, the notification engine becomes important because when you look at traceability, transparency, visibility, another form is making sure you're being notified every often, and you can see that. All right. So notification engine and mail pass is something which also is there. And to wrap all of that up, you would want finally reports and dashboard. I'm sure everybody would want that. So we have our own PI reporting and dashboarding capabilities which are available here. So you have 150 plus analytical trends which you can use to generate your reports and present it to your management, right? So we have all of that here. Now, as Summit today, we offer ITSM 12 ITIL processes certified. We don't want to call ourselves just an ITSM, but we are an enterprise service management. So we cater to all industries because the product is flexible in that manner. And then the powerful enterprise asset management, which I'm going to talk a little more today, and especially focusing on from a manufacturing perspective of it, right? So when we look at it, we cater to both all asset lifecycle management, your hardware asset management, software asset management, all in one bundle. You get all of this from an asset management perspective, right? So right from discovery, agentless, all of that and more. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that later on, right? We also offer service automation. So something which is work wonders for us, especially when customers, you saw those CSAT numbers going up, and also the production time. All of that is thanks to the automation which we have, and also the processes in which we have built those automations. Service automations, right? Now, any mundane flow which happens today, we achieve it through automation. So it is zero human errors, and it's quicker, and it's at any time automation can kick in based on the criteria which are provided, right? AI, finally, we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence. So this, as I spoke to you earlier, AI is very powerful for us. We call it Cindy. Cindy behaves like a digital agent, so available 24/7, performs, ask actually questions, makes sure it is easily understood, gives them options, gives up the right answers, picks up the right request, creates the right incident, sends it off to the right team, or even for that matter, a skilled particular engineer, if you want to call them engineers or agents or analysts. It does a lot more from that perspective of being it an AI, throwing up knowledge articles, giving information like simple information, tracking some status. All of this is done through our AI here. So that's another offering which we give from that perspective. Apart from that, we still have built our systems with certain intelligence in place for intent identification, for intent classification, right? And workload management, self-service, and also automation here. Finally, system of engagement, as you're all aware, this becomes again crucial for customers. So not only through web chat, we have our own mobile app. So you can download it today on any Android, iOS stores. And then if you have the right credentials, you can get in and start using your mobile app for doing all these activities. And not just for users, even for your analysts, you get to have that. Apart from that, because Cindy is there, we are on Teams, we are on Slack, Skype, Jabber. That list is again going to grow. And then the web portal, the voice, the emails, these are standard, and that's something which we already offer here. Finally, who gets to consume us? So I'm sure by now, I've mentioned this a lot. We are an enterprise service management, so it's across any industry. It doesn't matter to us whether it's legal, logistic, marketing, finance, IT, HR. Doesn't matter. All of them have the ability to go ahead and consume our product because of its capability here. Um, Finally, just to wrap up quickly, it's a no code, low code. That's something which we're very proud of. So anybody today who has our, who's been trained by our trainers can just go quickly drag, drop, and create a portal and start working on, what they need to see, right? AI, again, a next generation AI, we are totally integrated with our service management and asset management, right? Automation is available. Cindy is another. I've already spoken about Cindy, right? And powerful, user-friendly reporting and dashboarding, which is available from that, right? Also, omni-channel experience once you start using our system today. Finally, with those features, what have we achieved today, right? And what do we promise our customers? Okay? First and foremost is when we start the journey, right? We talk about how fast we can get that. So we have a 50% faster implementation time than our competition. We get, depending on the customers, we can even go live in 90 days, right? And another important thing is you get to pay only when you're using the software, otherwise you don't have to, right? This obviously is the journey where it starts, but before that, we're talking about AI, we're talking about easy, low code, no code administration, self-service, omni-channel engagement. So once you hear that, with including the faster time to value, it's going to create a bigger impression because of this, right? And then finally, you're doing all of this is to make sure your customers or your users are happy end of the day. And not only users, Summit today tries to make sure even your analysts, your employees are also happy, right? Because when you talk about, when I say customers, users, people who get in touch with any of these departments or IT department, they would require a faster resolution, right? So all of this is capable because of the product features which are available here. So through AI, you have a digital agent which is available 24/7. You have a rich experience. And through automation, most of your mundane work, which might take some time, is actually done much quicker with zero human errors. And all this adds up to it being a quicker and a faster resolution for your users, customers who the services is being provided using Summit today. All of them are happy here. So that's the last thing I want to talk about before we go on to demonstrating what we have. All right. So when we look at our asset management today, right, and when we talk about the asset management solution, why is it important in a manufacturing industry today, right? When you look at manufacturing industries, which most of y'all today are here on this call. So we are looking at assets such as equipments, machinery, and anything which requires a large capital investment, right? And they basically comprise large portions of companies' net worth. Most of the company, it's at least 40% of it, right? So 40% of the investment goes in buying these equipment. So that becomes very crucial. So it has to be managed the right way. It has to get the prospect of maximizing the value for those investments, right? Without those asset management, the industry might, like, for example, if you're not using asset management, you might experience certain unplanned downtimes, equipment failures, right? Very common misplaced or lost inventory. I'm sure all of y'all on the call today, I'm sure you're recollecting this, or you might be agreeing to this. Another safety and environmental breaches, very important, and compliance, right? So failure to meet or compliance or regulatory standards here. So these are something which if you're not using, this is something which you would come across I'm not saying this is all the problems only. I'm sure there's more, but these are some of the most common problems which companies go through, and they're also, they know that they have invested, right, on these inventories. They want to make sure they can trace it. They have an idea what's happening. They want to make sure that they can effectively and efficiently have that asset tracking and so on and so forth, right? Now, having said that, how does Summit come into picture here? How does Summit help these manufacturing industries to kind of negate all of those points which I had said earlier and more, right? So there are multiple ways in which we tend to help. So talking about reduction in cost, right? Downtime, right? Predicting future infrastructure costs, like forecasting the cost or the maintenance overhead, effective tracking, all of that. Now, all this becomes important. Now, as you can see on your screen, this is an asset dashboard, which comprises of 4 classified assets. Like, for example, we have fixed assets. So when we talk about fixed assets, this can be any form of asset. It can be an IT asset, non-IT asset, and I'll show you some examples, right? We're looking at consumables, we're looking at accessories, we're looking at software here. Now, when we talk about compliance, I'm sure software plays an important role when it comes to compliance. So we have that. But apart from that, we help you track even accessories. Today, machinery or anything would have certain accessories which you would like to track. Also consumables, once assets which gets consumed over a period of time or on a frequent basis. So you have all of these classifications. So fixed consumables, accessories, and software. And under each of them, you can have unlimited categorized assets. So what do I mean by unlimited category? So you can call out whether you want an IT asset, you can track your mobile devices, your monitors, firewall switches. It doesn't even have to be a physical asset, but if you want to track that asset, you can go about tracking that asset. Now, when I talk about tracking, I'm talking about traceability. How many of them are in stores, right? How many of them have I allocated, have I given out? How many are actually inactive? How many are sent for repair? Now, all of that information obviously would help in making sure you have an effective and efficient asset tracking and tagging at your fingertips. So at any point in time with this data, you know what's the next step. So you know what else, probably a specific plant needs, anything. So you have all of that available on your fingertips here. So this is just an example. So you can have as many assets or category of assets into the system, and then you can work on it. Now, when I say you can have as many, now if you look at IT assets, we have an option where you can get those assets through a simple discovery here. So we can do a discovery of all those assets and then have them into the system. Now the question is, you can say, hey Jay, what about what if an asset cannot be discovered? Well, we have few more methods for that. So one of the methods, old school method, I would want to call it, is having an asset getting imported through an Excel sheet. So you can have all the information in an Excel sheet and then import it. The second one is an interesting one, which I said, was the integration factor of it. So you can have Summit integrated with any of your, systems, which like a financial system or your procurement system. So today, if you procure assets, you have a portal for procuring these assets. It can be an SAP or an Oracle portal. We can integrate with that and have the data. You don't have to even go and fetch the data. Make sure it's been integrated. It syncs. It brings it all to Summit here, and you have it all in the repository over here, right? So when you look at that, we can do a seamless integration of all the assets, which are related to that. Now, if you have locations, if you have different, obviously you're all into manufacturing, I'm sure you'll have various locations. You're not placed in one, you'll have various locations. So this is another way of telling that we have a seamless integration for centralized asset related repository. So it has, at any point, anywhere, as long as you have access to Summit, you will have all the data of all the location, all the stores across the globe or across a certain geography, doesn't matter to us. So you have those information available here, right? Now, talking a little more, what we do. So when I get into, let's say, an asset inventory, and what I talked about traceability and visibility of all your assets. Now, this is what I was talking about. So if you look into it, we are looking at a life cycle, the journey where it starts. It comes into a store. From the store, what happens, and then what actions can I perform using Summit today, so that I can make sure that all the assets, I basically can manage all the assets from Summit here. So let's take an example. I'll probably take an asset which is there in my store today. So I'll take that example, and from that store, and what we've done in Summit is we have also defined some logical actions which can take place based on a status. Now, what is a status for us? Is a store. Store becomes a status, and based on that, we have a certain definition towards, what actions can be performed. Now, for example, you have an option saying all of this, and these are the actions on your right hand corner. What I was talking about, some are common: adding, updating, printing a barcode, pretty common. But otherwise, allocation, doing a bulk allocation, sending it to a repair center, moving it from one location to another, right? Or deactivating the asset itself. So all this is more logical when an asset is in the store, not when it is being in use, or what we call it is when it's being allocated. Right? It's very specifically kept in the store. Probably, they've returned the asset because something is wrong, so you can deactivate it or send it to a repair center, or it is meant for the whole department moving from one place to another, and so on and so forth. So you have, you can move it from that perspective of that. Now, quickly, let me just change the status. The current status is store. So if I move it from store, let's say I want to check all the assets which have been allocated, very specifically my laptops which have been allocated to various users today. So it can be anybody in the organization, right? Now, two things here. One, you see the information which we generate, a lot of information. And obviously, if I scroll towards my right, you have a lot more information. And all this information are configurable. When I use the word configurable, I mean it's a simple dragging and dropping and creating all these fields, what you're seeing here. Obviously, we out of the box, we have some standard fields. Apart from that, you get to see all of these fields here. Now, that's one. The second thing which I want you to keep an eye on is the actions. If you notice, adding, updating, pretty common again, but reallocation, deallocation, now you don't see a location movement, but you see a floor movement. And another important feature, reconciliation, very important in manufacturing industry, especially when you send off assets to plants, right? Various plants, you would want to know, whether that asset's been in use or whether it's, just catching dust. So you would want to make sure it is being put into good use. So what happens is reconciliation, that feature helps you to generate a notification after 3 months, 6 months. That's something which, the company which is involved, they can take a call, or the management can take a call. It can be even 15 days. It can be a year. It doesn't matter. You have that, and that triggers an email. It goes either to an individual or the manager, and then flows back. So you have reconciliation coming from that aspect of it. So now, if you look at this aspect of the way we are talking about reconciliation, now you can make sure that future decisions, like whether they're still using it or not, I can take it back and give it to someone else, right? You're forecasting, all of that comes into this. This is a small example, but then you have that example going on from that. Now, normally, if I have my laptop, which is default, it's been allocated to me, I'm using it, I have options to go ahead and raise a request, and then they can go about doing this from that perspective of that, right? So you get to deallocate the asset. So the only reason why I showed you these two different status examples is that each of these action tabs change based on the status. So it logically allows you to do certain actions, but some are common, but other actions, it says that it's only at this status you can perform this, otherwise you cannot. Now, during this journey, we also have a journey of approvals. I'm sure it's a life cycle, right? So you tend to go about having a life cycle generator. Now, if you're moving an asset from one location to another, or moving it to a repair center, or it's coming back from another location, you want to make sure traceability is something which is there. It's very crucial, especially plants. You'll have many multiple plants. So there are machinery leaving one plant to another. So you would want to track that. You want to make sure will at any point in time when you track it. So we have moment of approvals. So any form of movement, you have approvals. For reconciliation, the feature which I just explained, we have that either based on location or just from the HQ. You can have that. A maker checker, another important feature. We have an approval for maker checker. Another print gate pass. Today, I know we live in a world where everything is electronic, but there are some manufacturing industries, still old school industries, very proud, not making a comment, but very proud of them. They still have, when any assets leave, they would like to have not just an electronic copy, but a physical copy. So we also help in that aspect of it. So having options to print a gate pass in which you will have your barcode or a QR code in which can be scanned, and a physical signature. If that's the policy, that's the procedure, you can go about having that aspect of it also, right? So in other words, what we can do is that you are making sure it's not only tracked through the system, not tracked only through notification, that is emails, also a physical copy can also be generated just to track any assets which are leaving the premises here, right? Now, when we're talking about leaving the premises, repair and all of that, another important thing comes up is contract management, right? You want to make sure you want to track the contract. You want to make sure the vendors you're using has the credibility of what kind of assets you actually purchased from them, and you want to make sure that the hierarchy, everything gets tracked along with the asset. So something goes wrong with the asset, you can quickly just click and get all the contract information, who's the point in contact, what is the SLA, all of that, and depending on the asset, or depending on, even for that matter, services. So if they provide any services, depending on the services, you have those options rightly available here, right? Now, so if you see this, and if you put all of this in place, contract and the approvals and all of that, another place which have been difficult for manufacturing industries is making sure the assets have a prolonged life. And how do we do that? Is very simply having a constant check on the assets here. So if you have an integrated help desk solution, which we can using Summit, if you're using any help desk today, we can integrate it with Summit. But it's not just to integrate, but also to make sure preventive maintenance is carried out in the right way. So in the future, you do not want to have the asset, because of preventive maintenance, it was not maintained and the asset gets damaged or something goes wrong and it's constantly going to the repair center, or the vendor gets to be blamed. So making sure that you have preventive maintenance, and all of that can be configured using Summit today. So you can have this, you don't have to physically go, it can automatically remind you based on the timeline you've set. So every, let's say 15 days, 20 days, or 60 days, 90 days, preventive maintenance can be made, and you're ensuring that all the assets are performing to its optimum capacity from that perspective, right? So this is something which I wanted to highlight from that aspect of it, right? From a financial angle to it, we help in depreciation. So we give you 2 out-of-the-box methods, but we allow Summit, like I said, it's very, very flexible. You can have your own formulas defined based on a specific category of asset. See, because what you have for a certain machinery, it might not be the same thing for, let's say, a building. Right? I know it's a vague example, but I'm just telling you, a building, a machinery, 2 different types of calculating how the value should depreciate of that particular asset. So we have that option going on from that aspect of it, right? So all of this now just to sum it up, right? We are talking about, when you start using Summit today, we're looking at effective and efficient asset tracking and tagging at your fingertips, right? Now, since all manufacturing units, we can manage all plants from one place and measure all the outputs to produce. So that's another one option. Then extended life cycle because of preventive maintenance, again through Summit, or I'm using the word automatic, but it is configured only one time configured, and then it becomes automatic. It constantly reminds you. So that way you can have preventive and predictive maintenance from Summit today, because you can also track back on, because we are tracking repairs, so you can track back as to what particular vendor, what particular system has gone wrong and why is it being done. Through using our service management, we have root cause analysis which can be conducted, and also in the future you can even predict certain maintenance and obviously prevent, but you can also predict that. Now another to summarize, also seamless integration for centralized asset repository related. So it doesn't matter how many plants you have, how many locations, you can have all the data in one place, or as long as you have access to Summit, you get to see that data. And then from a compliance standpoint of view, we help in tracking your hardware, software assets, and to make sure you are compliant from that perspective. So when we're talking about compliance, we're talking about software entitlements. We're talking about tracking your consumptions, how often it's getting consumed, right? And then also the maintenance cost. All of this gets tracked here, right? And finally, to conclude, all of this helps in reducing the operation and maintenance cost while obviously boosting the output. Then you can also increase your operational efficiency and real-time visibility and traceability of your asset usage, because we have reports. Apart from reports, we also have data, we have various dashboards, right? And preventive maintenance, which again I'm repeating. And also we have embedded industry's best practices in our Summit system here to ensure you get the best out of the best, right? So this is something which I want to talk about, and I want to demonstrate how our product is and what are the capabilities of our product here. So I'm going to stop here, and probably because there's going to be a poll question which is coming up, and then after that we will take up Q&A.
So indeed, that was a very insightful presentation. Thank you, Mr. Sridharan, for putting your knowledge across to our audience. And without any further delay, I would now open the floor for the Q&A session. I would request the audience to use the Q&A tab present on your screen to send in your questions. We will try to answer most of them live in the webinar until time permits. So as I can see, 3 questions. The first question is by Gautam Kumar. Are manageable switches of Cisco, Netgear, or D-Link manageable through Symphony AI? And he has also asked about CCTV cameras and NVRs.
The answer for both of them is yes. So the switches as well as the CCTV cameras can be managed in Summit's asset management today. Now, probably we would dig in a little more when you talk about switches, but as an asset, definitely yes. The answer is yes. We can capture information. And just to throw a little more light on that, if you're using our service management where CMDB is there, a lot more can be achieved when we look at not just traceability, but we can dig in deeper because it's a switch. But whereas the CCTV cameras and all of that we already have that feature, it's already available. So the answer is definitely yes for both.
Okay, so the next question that we have is from Anup Kumar Khetan. How the tagging can be done for asset where asset is heavy machinery and working is too much? So this just like cement industries or glass industries.
So when you say tagging, I'm assuming how do you want to track it? Because if it's a cement, let's say a mixer, cement mixer, I'm hoping that's what your question is. How do we track that? So keeping that in mind, and if I'm wrong, you can probably elaborate a little more. So like I said, we have options to have QR codes, and I think I forgot to mention this, we have a mobile app which can read off those QR codes. So today, one of our customers use this particular QR code in, it's a leading airport. So all the kiosk and conveyor belts where these stickers have been put up, and then all you need to do is scan, and then from there onwards you can do that. That's one. And the other one is you can also use RFID tags, right? So that's another one which you get to, you can tag, you can use an RFID on the system, then you can scan them, and you can have an active or a passive scanner. Based on that, you can also tag those heavy machinery what you're asking for.
So the next question that we have, I think from Mr. D'Souza is, do you have on-premise version of this solution?
Absolutely, yes, we do. We have both cloud and on-premise. The only difference is we'll provide the prerequisites if it's on-premise, and we're not very heavy on the the machinery, so it's pretty simple. So yeah, but we do have. The answer is yes.
Mr. Sanjay has asked, does it have email message notification kind of facility available?
Absolutely, we have email, we have text, or SMS if you want to call it. Email, text, definitely yes. And you can also modify templates. Sorry, just to elaborate on that, you can modify all the templates. You can call out specific users. All that and more is available. Notification.
I think we are done with the questions, and in case our audience has some more questions, we'll be happy to answer them. You can reach out to us on the given email ID on our screen, and we will be happy to address your queries. So with this, we come to the end of our webinar. I would like to thank our speaker for the invaluable insights on the subject of unlocking the power of an enterprise asset management solution. That was indeed a knowledgeable session, and I'm pretty sure that there were multiple takeaways and learnings for our audience too. I once again thank you for taking out your precious time. And last but not the least, I would like to thank our audience for their active participation.